Just answering questions with WAPTech. Two main people made long comments on my channel. I'm going to be addressing only one of them in this video. I might do a separate video for the other person. I did a video concerning Joe Biden making comments before the Council of Foreign Relations during a talk with just an informal talk, where he made a claim concerning not Hunter Biden, not Burisma, but the Ukraine prosecutor general that was at the time interfering with prosecuting criminal behavior because he was taking bribes, and Joe Biden implying strongly that he told the president of the country at the time that $1 billion loan guarantee, it's a loan, not a grant, might not go through, or he wouldn't let it go through, or it ain't going to happen. He isn't saying that he's going to stop it necessarily. It just ain't going to happen. If the prosecutor general isn't removed because he keeps interfering with getting rid of the corruption in the country, what's the point of giving them a bunch of money if they're going to steal the money? He might have been saying it in general just about what the position of the country is, but he said, wow, big surprise later, the son of a bitch got fired, or something like that. And he's implying strongly that he had something to do with it. Now, he said this after he was vice president, and he was talking about while he was vice president and bragging he had a lot of influence, or maybe he didn't. Now, what anybody who isn't trying to have an axe to grind against anybody would come from this, from the short clip, even though it's always presented as a smoking gun about some damn thing that is not in the video, is that he is saying that he's implying he didn't have an effect on it, but he was right about the outcome, meaning if they didn't get rid of the corruption, they wouldn't be given the money because the corruption is based on these people stealing. It's a kleptocracy, I think it's called. But this is him making a boast. Now, when he made that statement, people in Ukraine, including the person who was president at the time when that communication, whether it's a phone call or a meeting, happened, everybody involved said, no, you had nothing to do with it. The president of the country at the time, after he said this, he said, yeah, when I was president, that's not what happened. Okay. Other people who said, yeah, we're the ones who remove him from office, like the parliament or whatever did. And also, it should be pointed out, a bunch of other things were disclosed at the time. Now, as far as Burisma, when Joe Biden supposedly made this phone call or was talking to them, he's being vague in the short clip you see, which is the reason you shouldn't use it. Did he bring up Burisma and did he bring up Hunter Biden? Now, when people put up a clip, half-truthing, they're implying things or outright saying it in titles of videos. Just look up whichever video you want to. You'll eventually find someone making these claims, saying it's a smoking gun, and then everyone nods their head, even though it doesn't say Burisma or Hunter Biden. Now I get this one. Thanks for clearing up the timeline when Hunter Biden worked there, which was years after the period of time Burisma was being investigated. And when Joe Biden said this, which is when he wasn't, vice president anymore. Quite a detailed brag. The implication is he did this because his son was being investigated. The prosecutor general, specific one, being mentioned, was he investigating his son? Now, someone's going to type in, well, of course. No, I mean, you have to go look it up. People keep quoting stuff from Facebook. Facebook is not the statements from the Ukraine government. Who was investigating Hunter in Ukraine? Let's assume they were. Who? It wasn't the prosecutor general that was being talked about here. Or was it? Was the prosecutor in general involved in the Burisma thing? Well, Burisma was being dealt with for something they did because of somebody who ran the company years before Hunter even showed up. And by the time Hunter showed up, they weren't doing anything that was considered untoward. And again, it's implied that it was because of his son. Yeah, but that's not a statement. That's somebody titling a video that way, or people talking about it that way. Everyone who wants to prosecute and convict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden of some damn thing, just whatever they can come up with, keeps implying stuff and doesn't give you a link to the original video. The link I have to the original video came from the person who left these comments. Thank you for finding it. And even if you watch it in context, is it really showing that? And yes, Joe Biden should have been told, you're not allowed to discuss anything you did when you're vice president for the rest of your life, just like everybody else. No, you don't get to do a book. Barack Obama cannot do a book about what he did when he was president. I'm tired of people trying to be reality stars after they've been in office. Or before. Or during. But let's not go there. The onion version of the news we're living in really scares me. Let's move on. He did say he was over there like 12 times or something. He had gotten commitments that they would take action against the prosecutor, who was corrupt, but they didn't. Again, a corrupt prosecutor, why would you remove him when you could just bribe him? The claim is at the same time that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden was trying to bribe this, apparently the same person, but also at the same time trying to remove him from office? And I suppose the timing isn't important. I'm not saying that to this commenter. I mean, in general, come on. But they weren't able to remove the prosecutor because, again, he's a corrupt prosecutor and he was into his eyeballs with money. But anyway, Joe said it was after a press conference that he told them, he specifically says the president of the country, to either fire the prosecutor or not get the loans. Now, again, he didn't have power to do that. I was mainly focused on the pay-to-play aspect. To my understanding, this is illegal. Now, unless you're talking about what the play part is, again, are you implying it has anything to do with Hunter Biden? Because people keep twisting this together. Again, sometimes they're talking about timings that Hunter wasn't even in play here, all right? So you have to be very specific, and I need time and date stamps. If you can't do that, then all you're doing is repeating, again, these are memes from Facebook. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to you, but that's what this is. Me weeding through this requires that I go find the original, and I could only get one from you. Thank you for giving me the link. Now I can go look at it, and maybe I'll come to the same conclusion. But you're talking about implications here. That's not facts. It's just implied. But anyway, is a pay-to-play aspect illegal? If you could prove that he had the ability to do it and he was actually trying to do that. He's saying he was trying to get rid of a corrupt politician in another country, and that country says he didn't have an effect on it. Suck eggs. Let's move on. The European Union wanted the prosecutor out. Yes. Does that exonerate what Joe did? If Joe couldn't do it, or if he's making up shit to brag, he can't have committed a crime. I say what Joe did because he said he did it. And you're also admitting that this may be him bragging. And again, he even mentioned they said he didn't have the authority. I know, because I found out he didn't. He could influence things. He didn't directly, but he made it clear he could make his threat go through. Now, at this point, you're reading a lot into this, but here we go. I'm taking him on his word. This was criminal. Again, you keep saying criminal, illegal, whatever. The Republican Party has gone out of their way not to convict anybody here because they want to make it to where there's no finale. Because there's no evidence. They've recently been compelled to admit they don't have any evidence against Joe Biden or Hunter Biden for shit. Which means if you were all being reasonable about this, this would be dead. People aren't being reasonable. The next thing is, they don't care about justice or bringing a potential criminal out because they keep making a show trial of it because the Republican Party doesn't care that maybe Joe Biden's corrupt. They just want to say he's corrupt so they can win a fucking argument? That sounds like an entire party enabling it. But let's not be ridiculous here. You keep saying criminal and illegal about Joe Biden and or Hunter Biden and referring to implications. I don't want you on a jury judging me. I'm being mean right now. But you need to stop this. We've all been taught to cancel culture or cancel cult shit on the net. I want Trump not to run again because I don't like him. But that doesn't mean he should be forbidden. I don't want him running because he's demonstrated an inability to handle data. Joe Biden has demonstrated that he's capable of making a mistake and then immediately correcting it as soon as he finds out about it. The fact that it was able to happen has to do with bonehead stupidity on the part of his staff and him, yes. But more importantly, how the fuck does the government allow this? Shouldn't they be strip searching you before you leave the building? That's a terrible image, but think about it. Only a little. Oh, God. Ow. But no, really, how did Trump leave the building with this shit? Don't they examine everything? They don't. Just like they don't examine Donald Trump walking out with, it's approximately 200 pounds of paper, basically 2 banker boxes, really, mixed in with hundreds of other things, that he shouldn't have been able to walk out the door with. It shouldn't have been he has to be on his honor. They should have searched all the shit. He's leaving a secured facility. They'll check your underwear when you leave some places, or make you walk out without it. We can't get on an airplane with our shoes on, but Donald Trump can leave with this shit. Joe Biden can accidentally do this to where a lawyer had to find it in his pile. Again, they immediately complied with the rules. But how does that happen? Aren't we going to fix this? And if we had fixed it, Donald Trump couldn't be guilty of what he's being prosecuted of. He is guilty of it. And he's proud of it. And he keeps opening his mouth. Just like Joe Biden should not be allowed to talk in public. I'm sorry, he needs to stop. We got to fix this. Donald Trump is just more aggressive and seemingly more cognizant when he says things that are genuinely self-incriminating. And no, he's not immune from prosecution when he openly, a spontaneous utterance of guilt is admissible. Donald Trump is only going to avoid being prosecuted and convicted by a miracle at this point. Joe Biden and his lawyers cooperate getting paperwork back. And again, all Joe Biden had to do was lie during that little interview, and he hasn't committed a crime because saying you did something that you'd be guilty of that didn't happen isn't prosecutable. A claim of a pay-to-play or taking him at his word. This is the guy I have trouble grammatically following, and you want to take him at his word. Which iteration of it get done through apparently some chat GP fuck-uppery are we talking about here? I mean, some of the stuff he says, people are like, is that an AI routine or is that personal? Is that him? Yes. Oh my God, he sounds like an AI going off the rails. Now I'm starting to sound that way. Seriously. But you'll take him at his word. This was criminal. What? He didn't have authority. It was an empty threat. It's a criminal behavior. Okay. Where is it criminal for him to threaten the Ukrainian government officials? The Ukraine. I'm not kidding. Someone brought that up in Ukraine in a newscast. It would be criminal for him to enter the country without being forgiven. Or being currently a head of state, like a vice president. He'd have to be vice president or president to visit without them being able to do that. You might want to look into that. Next. There was no mention of a call. During this short clip, it sounds like he's talking about a phone call or a personal visit. We can't tell which. And again, I'm not grammatically tearing apart what Biden says. If I don't have to, please don't make me do it. I'll do it if you ask, but God. I didn't mention Hunter, okay? I'm singling this out. It's implied. It's part of the thing. That's why I brought it up. But yeah, you didn't personally mention Hunter Biden. How did Trump get into this bit? Because it's an unavoidable comparison. I'm sorry. It's our best and worst examples. Oddly enough, because they do some of the same things. Regarding Hunter and the firearm charge, if anybody's not aware of it, Hunter Biden has decided to plead guilty to a firearms charge, which is a bullshit firearms charge, in many people's opinion. And him of doing tax evasion twice, 1 year and then another. And he's already paid him back and everything like that. So if you're not aware of it, the IRS doesn't want to prosecute you or imprison you. If you make your best effort to correct things and say, I'll pay all the fines and stuff, please don't throw me in prison. They don't want to throw anybody in prison. They're not like the ATF. So, and the thing is, I know it sounds like a sweet deal, but really, the only reason this deal would go through is if he was really guilty of these things. They probably don't have evidence enough against the rest of the things. And unless you bring up a list of everything he was charged with, you don't know what he's escaping prosecution for any more than I know. So, my response to this person, it sounds like you really want Hunter and Joe to be guilty of something, but you're not acknowledging that none of this stuff is actually really actionable. If you claim he's an inveterate liar, then you can't prosecute him for lying about something he did because it didn't happen. Anyway, that's it for today on that one. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And that's one comment group today.